you don't have a money problem. Most people are conditioned to think in terms of their income or the dollar amount assigned that they get every single year. And it's easy to quantify, which makes it easy to compare ourselves to others. I ran into this problem 2 years ago. I was stuck out of college making $40,000 at a law firm. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. I wasn't going to be able to move out on that salary. I was stuck. I felt lost. I felt confused. And I had no idea how I was going to make more money, increase my income, and get to the quality of life that I wanted. I was stuck on LinkedIn, browsing different salaries, looking at different jobs, and I just couldn't quite understand why certain people were paid more than others or why certain businesses made more than others. But then I realized what the real problem is. The problem is not income. It was not the amount of money I was getting paid. It was that I was only as valuable as $40,000 a year. The skill set that I had and the jobs that I were doing and the tasks that I were able to complete were only worth $40,000. All of this comes down to value. Whether you're a business or a person, you're competing in a marketplace where value is the main determinant of how much money you attract. Every employee and employer has a dollar sign attached to what they do in that marketplace. There are certain industries that pay more than others. There are certain skills that pay more than others. And it all comes down to the dollar sign that's attached to the value that that individual skill or individual can accrue. Now, if you're a business, you're in a marketplace of buyers and sellers. You're in a marketplace where people are selling a product and you have customers that you need to sell that product to. The value of your product is what ultimately gets that dollar sign attached to it. As an individual, the main thing that I'm focused on is how do I get better skills that provide more value and can exponentially increase my income? And the other way to look at it is what complementary skills can I get that exponentially increase my income? So it's what can I add to my current skill set that's going to make me more valuable to future employers, future clients, or future businesses. At the time when I was right out of college, I realized that there was a high value skill set I could go for, which was SEO. This greatly increased my earning potential, and it was able to set me up for a stepping stone of a job that ultimately landed me where I am now, which is earning me over 6 figures a year. But the other key lesson to considering value is that value is about the problem you're solving. Something is valuable because you're solving a problem for someone, or you're somehow moving them toward a situation that they want to be in. And naturally, not all problems are created equal. College does not prepare you in the way that it should for solving valuable problems. People do not spend enough time thinking about what they are going to solve. Sean Purry, who's a famous entrepreneur, has a great YouTube video about this where he basically breaks down a CEO and a janitor can work equally as hard at their jobs, but the CEO gets paid $1 million while the janitor gets paid minimum wage. Why is that? The problems they're solving are significantly different in the amount of value that they have. A CEO is running a multi-billion-dollar company, has very large problems they're solving. A janitor is solving a small problem for a small business or a building, whatever it is. There's a huge disconnect between the value of the problems they're solving. This also applies to your life and your business and your profession. If you're a small business, you have to look at the problems you're solving and see if there's bigger opportunities you could be going after. If you're an individual, you have to be looking at what bigger problems could I be solving in the business. For me, I went from solving just an SEO problem to solving a product level problem. I went from solving just a simple problem of how to drive more traffic to the website to how can I build features that not only drive more traffic, but convert users, keep those users for longer, and increase the value of those users over time. I went from solving one problem to solving 4. That's why my salary increased from what I was solving for 1 to solving 4. And the same principle applies for your life. You have to look at the skills that you have and see what are the most valuable problems that you can solve. And not enough people take the time to think about that. It's not worth rushing into a job or rushing into a problem until you've sat back and decided what is the biggest problem I can currently solve. Once you start solving that problem, you then need to be thinking about what are the future problems that are going to be worth more money that I can solve. This will set you up to continually increase your value incrementally over a long period of time because you're constantly focused on solving bigger problems. Last important thing about focusing on value is it allows you to consider where the future is going to be, where the future value is, where the future money is. When you think in terms of value and you think in terms of problems, you're going to be constantly asking yourself, what's the next big thing? What's the next problem people are going to be struggling with? For example, think about it this way. 20 years ago, social media wasn't really necessarily a huge pain point in people's lives. Businesses weren't really thinking about how they can grow on social media. They weren't thinking about all the traffic they could potentially get from social media. But Gary Vee, who's a famous entrepreneur if you don't know him, he got a majority of his wealth from starting a media agency that basically used social media to drive more business to his clients. That's because he was hyper aware of the fact that attention was shifting to social media platforms. It was no longer about putting billboards up and doing it in newspapers or magazine ads. It was about the online attention that was being built on these social media platforms. He was focusing on a future problem, and he built his entire business around that future problem. And as social media got bigger and bigger, the value of the problem he was solving got significantly bigger. It even applies to your own career. Right now, I'm noticing how big AI is in all the businesses, and I have to look at how I can position myself to take advantage of that, realizing that AI is probably going to become more valuable over time, not less. It's probably worthwhile for me to figure out a way to gain expertise in AI or build some kind of experience whenever the time presents itself for me to either get a new position or start a new business venture. I can leverage that experience in AI to solve a bigger problem and become more valuable and attract more money. If you take nothing away from this video, just focus on the fact that your income is directly correlated to the value and the size of the problem that you're solving. Focus on solving bigger and better problems, and your money problems will go